My name is Tom Sedgman. I'm the service manager for the service, so the more of the strategic oversight level, and I'm joined by one of my product managers, Linda, who's going to be running a demonstration for you today.
Hello, everyone.
So I'm going to give you a bit of backstory, a bit of an overview of the service and what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it can benefit you. And then Linda's going to give you a bit of a live demo of the service, and we're going to talk through some improvements that we're going to be bringing over the coming months. There is a Q&A running at the moment, so please do enter your questions in the chat and we will get to them we'll get to them at the end, but some of my colleagues are sitting in the background and will endeavour to answer some of the simpler ones throughout the session. The new appeal service is being developed as part of the Inspectorate Digital Transformation Programme. For an appellant, this service is known as Appeal a Planning Decision. For local authorities like yourselves, this is Manage Your Appeals. Our aim is to modernise the system and provide all of our customers with services that are much more efficient, faster to use, and require a lot less manual intervention than they currently do. So we are transforming the end-to-end delivery of appeals by focusing very much on what all of the users of the service need to be, making it easy to understand, introducing automation where that is something that can be done appropriately, flexible to allow us to support upcoming changes in legislation and the changing world we live in, and much more efficient both in terms of financial costs but also time, and that's everybody's time, not just our staff. We are in the process of replacing the appeals casework portal, so the new service is going to be where everything will be stored over time. So if there are existing cases that are on ACP, they will, over the course of the next year or so, be moved over to the new service. So this introduction is happening in phases. As you may well already be aware, we did a phased rollout over the past 14 months to more and more local authorities, and we started with householder appeals and then Section 78 appeals. So this allows us to build in small stages, and as each new feature is brought on, it allows us to make sure that it's meeting everybody's needs. We're responsive to feedback during that process. So we've put the customer at the heart of this, trying to make it as simple for customers to engage with as possible, to reduce the need for explanations and reduce the learning curve for the system. We've been doing this using standard gov.uk design patterns and making sure that our processes and our digital capabilities are all working in the same direction, and this means that when the government produces a new piece of legislation, we can very quickly adapt to it. Any new legislation that comes out or any new policy changes, we can much more readily adapt to in the coming in the coming years. So the new service fundamentally is streamlined. It is designed to ask only the right questions and to avoid the repetition where possible. So we've been making it easier to submit rather than presenting a large page of questions, we only present a single question at a time. This means that we can only present the relevant information to the user, and so that they're not going to be overwhelmed by seeing this enormous chunk of text in front of them. So for you, the local authorities, that you get that same benefit as well. You only ask the relevant question at that time, and at any point you can stop, go away, get the answer for that question, and then come back. So these questions have been streamlined. We're only asking, we're using more sort of a dynamic logic to only ask the relevant question for the appeal, rather than the old-fashioned approach of leave this one blank if you don't use it. We have also we're using this new data-first approach to improve the ability to track and monitor progress with summaries, so you can much more easily see how far through the process you are. Some of these are features that are going to be coming in the future, but it's things like much more timely updates from us about the status of a case. Will be some of the things that that's the kind of improvements we're looking to build in the future. The system's also been designed to automate everything. So the idea of an appellant sending you the form is no longer required. Relevant information is displayed and in the appellant's dashboard and by email. So and this has all been designed with clear language in mind to make sure that any of the users aren't necessarily going to be confused because they don't understand the technical terms that we're using that would previously have been used. We're also looking to reduce manual paper-based processes. We're stopping collection of appeals by paper. We're going digital first. The purpose of that is reduced environmental impact, reduced time. Those paper forms they don't get the same benefits that the new system does, and we can't replicate that in paper form. So we're going digital first, and as of the end of this year, you're not going to be able. So a member of the public is not going to be able to submit an appeal, a planning appeal by paper. Enforcement appeals are currently under review, but we hope to go the same way. This means the whole process is much, much faster. On average, with the new system, we're seeing a 5-fold decrease in validation time for our internal systems. So that means that there's much less of a waiting around for processing of casework. This is a timeline for this financial year, so 1st of April to the 1st of April. We've already released household appeals, full planning, in its 3 primary procedure types: written representation, hearing, and inquiry. Listed buildings has also in section 20 has also been released, and next week we will be releasing the commercial appeals and advertising appeals into the system. As you're aware, it is now no longer possible for those case types that are already live to be submitted through ACP anymore, so they have to use the new service. And in the next 3 months, 3.5 months, sorry, we will be rolling out enforcement listed building, and lawful development certificates. So any of those that previously were submitted through ACP have to come through the new service. There may well be the odd 1 or 2 that still comes through for a little while, as if you started, or if a member of the public started an appeal the day before we brought that local authority on board, they will be able to finish that appeal in ACP. That's a technical challenge we decided not to try and solve. We're just going to let those roll off over time. So you might still get the odd 1 or 2 coming in looking like the old style or available through ACP, but that will roll down. And the other thing that is going to be coming up, it's not on this, is next year. It is dependent, unfortunately, on how much funding we can get for next year. We'll be looking at bringing in things like tree preservation orders, high hedges, all the other various pieces of casework that we're responsible for, and there will be public communications going at about that. But the idea is to have a consistent approach. Biodiversity net gain is another one that's going to be processed through the new system. And the other, then there's going to be a lot of improvements, making a lot of improvements to the interface. Once we've got the core functionality delivered, we're going to be spending the next couple of years responding to feedback and delivering improvements for everybody. One thing that's not on this list, which is a work in progress, is automatic integration with local authority planning systems. We are currently developing a pilot with the London Borough of Camden to automatically pull householder cases through from your systems. It's using the back office planning system interface. And what that gives us is the ability to, all of that data comes through automatically, which means that a local authority you don't have to fill out the questionnaire anymore, or you will just have to review your answers and make sure it's still accurate. Other bits and pieces that you might have to think about doing, other bits and pieces that previously would have been done, so the appellant likewise doesn't have to put all the same information in twice. That potentially will lead to a massive time saving, as well as a reduction in errors. Transcription errors are one of the more common ones we see, where somebody has just entered the same information the second time around and they've not done it right, unfortunately. So there's big time savings there, and there's effort savings there. And this system, as I've said several times, we've been designing it to be intuitive, to reduce the learning curve, but you might still be unfamiliar. It is a new system after all, and it's potentially a big change to what you were previously running. So we are offering extra support. We ran a show and tell similar to this back in June, so the same format is being used today, and also a recording of today's session will be made available. There is also a series of YouTube videos that cover the key points that we receive feedback on. And if there is a consistent point of this is confusing and doesn't make sense, we will look to improve that over time. It might take a little while for us to get to it, but because right now we're focusing on getting those core functionalities delivered. But once we've done that, we will be driven by where the feedback comes from our users. If you have any issues, then customer services are there to help you, and we are going to continue to run a series of informal drop-in sessions and show and tells, so that there will be regular communications about what are the next features that are coming up, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions there. And if you're in the service and you see something that either you really like or that really don't like, there is a feedback link that is available in the header. You click on that, it'll take you to a form. You fill that out, and we will receive that, and we regularly go through that list and collate. And the most popular items are ones that we looked to process first. So here are a few quotes we had from some of our pilot local authorities last year. These were direct transcripts. I won't go through what they are saying, but as you can see, the sentiment is that this is a positive change. There are a few questions to go through. It's easier to see the information in the service rather than having to chase us for it. Something that we were very aware of, and we are continuing to try and improve. But we've adapted to user feedback and providing emails when it's been required. There is more to do. We know it's not a perfect system yet, but we have to get off ACP this financial year. Once we've done that, we're going to be free to delivering much more of the quality of life features that will make your lives an awful lot easier. And now I'm going to hand over to Linda, who's going to do a quick demonstration.
Hello, everyone. So yes, my name is Linda. I'm one of the product managers on the service. So I'm looking at the features and, helping prioritize those. I'm going to give you a quick demo, but first I'm just going to recap on what we already know, or what Tom has already shared a bit earlier. So if you've ever applied for a passport online or a driving license, you'll be familiar with the gov.uk design pattern. So it all looks quite easy to use and kind of intuitive, make it easier for both the appellants and yourselves, the LPAs, to go through the process. We ask questions as you go along, so there's no overwhelm. And again, we use plain English to help users navigate through the questions, removing that technical jargon, which can sometimes lead to confusion. We have streamlined a lot of the processes, so we try and automate where we can. And obviously, as Tom has mentioned several times, we do listen to your feedback, and I'm going to show you some things that we've improved along the way. I'm going to switch to another, I'm going to take over now my screen and switch to the demo. I'm also going to go off camera to allow you to see more on the screen, if that's okay. So just bear with me 1 second. Yep, that should work. I'm going to go off camera now. Do shout if you don't see anything. So what I'm going to show you here is the login screen. So what we've done is, oh, and sorry, I just must iterate, I'm on the training environment, so this isn't representative of real data. There's no real production data in there. This is the first login screen. So I saw a question pop in. If you haven't received an email already, we did send a series of onboarding emails to LPAs. If you haven't received that already, let the customer support team know. But we have essentially created a first account with the central email address that we hold on file for your LPA. So if you don't have it, don't worry. Just contact the customer support team, and they can help you set up with the right address. But also, if you haven't received the onboarding email, that's also fine. You can still log into the email to the service. So to log in, oops, I'll just disable this quickly. So I'm going to log in with my email. I will then receive a code for this. So every time you log in, you're going to receive a code sent to you via email. You can copy it across, or you can manually enter it in here. And then what you'll see, this is the landing page. So the first thing as a first-time use is you can go in and add users. We recommend that you set up individual accounts for each of your team members. Everyone that accesses the service can then log in with their own login code using their own emails. It also makes sure that there's no issues with central mailboxes not being available out of hours, for example. So here you can see all my fellow colleagues. We have, to add a new user, you just simply add a user, and you can see that we've locked the email domain here. So we know that some LPAs operate as joint councils or have staff at partner councils. If they operate using a different domain, then let us know. We can manually add emails, but it's really important to know that each email address must be unique. So you can only use it once to access an LPA. But yeah, let me just, so I can go in and add that person. I would hit continue, and then you see there's an error message. I actually do need to add an email address. In this case, you can see that admin2 is a central account located associated with this this LPA, and I can't remove that, but I can happily remove user2 if I needed to. So, right, hopefully you don't have to use that too much, but as I say, you can keep adding and removing users as people, if any staff member leaves the organization. Right, so the first thing we see is your appeals. So these are all the appeals that are active at this point in time. They're live for your local authority and require some action by your staff. So you'll see a few different stages here. It shows you the appeal number, the address for that appeal, the appeal type, the deadline of which the action is required, when it's due, and then what needs to be done to the action for it. And there's a few, if you scroll down to the bottom, I'm just going to show you these new. As soon as we receive an appeal from an appellant that's submitted to us, you can then go in and view some basic information about the appeal. So the appeal type, the site, and then if there's an agent as well, the local planning authority, and your application number. So that's handy for you to be able to get early visibility of the appeal that's coming in. This is when it's still in validation at our side. Once we've validated and started the case, then you'll see it come up here. So I've prepared a few of these earlier. So this is a householder appeal. This is the point at which there's a few ways I can get into this appeal. I can either click on the case, or I can go back and click on my action required. So if I go down to my case, the first action is, you can see I've jumped straight into the questionnaire, whereas from before I'd have had to go here. That's my little important banner at the top telling me what my next action is required on this case. So I've gone into the wrong one. I've gone to my statement one. Just bear with me 1 second. Here we go. So I'm ready to submit my questionnaire. You'll see that here, this view is the start list, my task list, essentially telling me all the different sections for all the questions I must answer and the state at which it's at. As I go through, you ask a series of questions, and depending on the question, there may be a follow-up question for it. So yes, this is the right type of appeal. If I select yes for a listed building, I'm asked a follow-up question, but actually I wanted to say no, and there's no follow-up question. So you can see that there's a sort of slightly different conditions depending on what is answered. And then I can select a file. And if you just read this carefully, I can either select single files. In some cases, I can select multiple files. The file types currently are docs. We're going to remove XLS. We're going to allow you to upload Excel files. And we are actually, based on user feedback, going to increase this to 50 megs for any files on the LPA dashboard. You can see there my file has been added, and I can remove it if I made a mistake. And I'm just going to, I want to quickly finish this so you can see what it looks like in the completed area. I should have chosen the householder doc planning. Sorry about this. Health and safety, obviously important. Right, now you can see, oh, I went ahead and completed everything. Now you can see that I've completed all the actions and I'm ready to submit my questionnaire. Once I've submitted it, you will see that there will be just a banner to let me know that that's been done. The questionnaire has been submitted, and then I can either download the documents or I can return back to my appeals. And then you'll see, I should have shown you this, but you'll see here that that now has gone out of the view here, and it's now in my waiting for review. Where is my little one? 6. Oh, I forgot which one it was. This one? Here it is. There it is. So now I can see the view appeal details and the questionnaire. I can go in and view that one. I should have shown you, but you can also change your answers at any point. So once, as I'm going along, if I answer a question and I press continue, that question is automatically saved. The next stage is once it's with the case officer, they'll review the questionnaire. Once they mark that as complete, then we get to the statement stage. And then from here, you can submit your statement. So a few things just to note is here I've got my important banner to submit the statement. Right now, I can add a comment, and then in the next screen, I can upload a document if I've got any supporting documents. We know that this can cause some confusion with some LPAs, so we just slightly changed that behavior. So if I go to my statement, submit statement, we're just warning you here that you can upload supporting documents in the next screen and then go through that process and upload your documents if you need to. In this view as well, you can see, if I go back to my appeals, you can see that there is now, if I scroll to the bottom, there are, where's my final comments? Hopefully you as an LPA don't have this many cases on your board, but here you'll see the next stage, or the final stage, is the final comments that you can submit. So you can see the due date is here, how many days you have left to complete that, and what your next action is. If you press on that, you go straight to the action. If you press on that, you go straight to the case. Hopefully that made sense. Right at the bottom of the screen, I also have the decided appeals. So I'm going to return back to my training environment. Anytime, you can always click to the home, and right at the bottom, I can view my decided appeals. This is where you'll view any appeals, the decision, and then if I go into one of them, I can download a copy of the decision, and then we've got the summary, summary details about it. I can also go back at any point and view the appeal details, the questionnaire, statements, any interested party comments, and my own final comments. So that was that. I'm just checking my list to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Right, I'm just going to move on then to new stuff we're working on. So one of the things we are working on is to be able to do some search. So if you have a long list of appeals, you might want to be able to search by appeal reference or by your own planning application reference by postcode. We've done some user research with some LPAs, so thanks for their time. One of the things we heard is actually that first line of address might be more helpful than the postcode. So that's something we're going to try and look to improve. And then we've also added those tabs at the top. So if you remember previously, I was scrolling down my long list. I now have the decided here, but also a tab for withdrawn. And then at the top of the screen, I've got this manage users and the option to sign out if needed, which again was some feedback we've had from some of the LPAs. And I think that was it in terms of demos. I'm just going to show you a few more things. So as an LPA, obviously you have the letters that you send out to appellants. Things like the previous links to ACP now need to be updated with the new links to our new service. So the model notification letter you'll see has recently been updated. It also includes links to the new service. The other thing is the comment on an appeal. So from that service, you can search for all decided appeals, but then if the appeal is not yet available in the new system because it was created in ACP initially, they can still get a link to that to the ACP to view the decision there. So there's no need for you to update the links twice. It's just point it once to the new service, and then they can find everything through there. And then the other thing that I just wanted to show you super quick was the YouTube video. So we will post a link to this recording for people to watch later, but also we have a series of YouTube videos which explains how to set up users, that first navigating between the different screens, and then how to complete your questionnaire.